Sometimes, the most unsettling stories don't come with blood or a weapon. Sometimes, no crime scene photos ever surface. And yet, the damage is irreversible. A teenage girl from a small town in Massachusetts, a boyfriend she almost never saw in person, and a series of text messages that could lead to one of the most debated convictions in modern legal history. Welcome to GBRLIFE Transmissions. I'm your host, Caitlin, and you're listening to GBRLIFE of Crimes, where we explore not just what happened in crimes committed by women, but why they happened and the psychology behind them. Today, we're not just exploring a death, we're exploring a dynamic, a digital relationship that spiraled out of control, and the devastating result when pain meets power in the wrong context. This is the case of Michelle Carter. Michelle Carter was born in 1996 and raised in Plainville, Massachusetts. She was quiet, smart, polite, a girl with good grades who played sports and texted heart emojis more than she spoke out loud. But beneath that sweet surface, Michelle struggled a lot. She had a well-documented history of anxiety, depression, and disordered eating. Starting in middle school, she was prescribed antidepressants. She sometimes harmed herself. But in a town where appearances mattered, Michelle kept her pain hidden behind polite smiles and perfect attendance. Then came Conrad Roy III. Conrad lived about 50 miles away in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts. He was a thoughtful, introspective young man who had also been struggling with mental health for most of his life. He had a history of severe depression and social anxiety, and he attempted to end his life more than once. His family knew. He knew. They met in 2012 while visiting relatives in Florida. Just two teens crossing paths. They clicked. And it doesn't take much to understand why. But strangely, they didn't spend much time together in real life. Not long after that first meeting, their relationship became almost entirely virtual. Thousands of text messages, calls, emails, FaceTime, but they only saw each other in person about 5 times over the span of 2 years. Despite the distance, they grew close. And while they both tried to support one another, something darker began to build. Conrad talked about his pain, his hopelessness, his fear of disappointing everyone around him. Michelle at first seemed to respond like any concerned girlfriend might. She told him he was strong, that things would get better, that she believed in him. But in the summer of 2014, her tone changed. Michelle Carter wasn't just a girl with a phone, she was a teenager dealing with her own unraveling sense of self. Her documented history of anxiety, depression, and disordered eating was layered with a deep need to be seen, to be needed, and to feel emotionally significant to someone, anyone. When Conrad opened up to her, she became his lifeline. But somewhere along the way, that lifeline warped into a control line. She stopped trying to save him and started trying to guide the outcome. And maybe that's what makes this so disturbing, because it doesn't come from pure malice. It comes from emotional chaos, hers and his, tangled together. Michelle was also prescribed an SSRI, Celexa, a medication that can reduce emotional sensitivity and in some cases lead to being more impulsive or blunted empathy in teens. Some experts believe this medication may have impaired her ability to process right and wrong in emotionally charged situations, and that to the fact that their relationship existed mostly over text, where nuance disappears, and Michelle started living in a kind of emotional vacuum. No adult intervention. No in-person reality check. Just two isolated teens spiraling in private. Some psychologists pointed out signs of what could be histrionic or borderline personality traits, and while she was never officially diagnosed, there were clear patterns: emotional instability, black and white thinking, a hunger for validation, and a performative need to be seen as the one who tried to help. And here's the nuance. Michelle may not have intended harm. She may have believed she was helping him find peace in the only way he believed was possible. Or she may have wanted to be the tragic hero in a story no one asked her to write. Either way, what began as emotional dependence morphed into something far more dangerous: emotional manipulation, all cloaked in the language of loyalty. And it was at this point Michelle Carter began encouraging Conrad to do the worst thing he could ever do. Not once, not twice, but over and over again, across hundreds of messages. Now let's be clear. Conrad had already been contemplating unaliving for years. He had plans. He had researched methods. He had attempted once before. And it was Michelle's role in this that changed it all for Conrad, and the way the law looked at this. Because Michelle didn't just know about his intentions. She didn't tell an adult. She didn't ask him to get help. Instead, she urged him not to delay. She reassured him that his family would be okay. She told him, it's time. From the outside, it's hard to wrap our heads around. How does someone, especially someone dealing with their own mental health issues, convince a person to go through with something so final? And here's the difficult part. Michelle didn't watch it happen. She wasn't there. She was at home on her phone reading messages. And yet her influence was smeared all over. On July 13th, 2014, Conrad Roy died in a parking lot in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. He used a generator to carry out the act inside his truck. According to court documents, when he hesitated, when he got out of the vehicle, Michelle texted and called him, urging him to go through with it. Afterward, she didn't call 911. She didn't notify his family. She did, however, message friends and classmates saying her boyfriend had passed away and that she felt responsible. When authorities recovered Conrad's phone, they found the text history, the emotional buildup, the encouragement, the messages afterward. It didn't take long for the police to zero in on Michelle Carter, and in an unprecedented move, prosecutors charged her with involuntary manslaughter. The argument? That her words, her repeated instructions, constituted reckless conduct leading to death. This wasn't just about moral responsibility. It became a question of legal causality. The implications throughout the story was now the reality. Could someone who never physically touched a victim still be held accountable for their death, even if that victim decided on their own death? The trial drew national attention. The defense argued that Michelle Carter was herself a victim of mental illness, of prescription medications that warped her judgment, of a toxic codependency. They said she didn't intend harm, that she was genuinely believing that she was helping Conrad to find peace. But the prosecution painted a different picture, that Michelle wanted to be the grieving girlfriend, that she saw his death as a way to finally get attention and sympathy, that she urged him not out of care, but out of emotional control. And in 2017, Michelle Carter was found guilty. She was sentenced to 15 months in jail and 5 years probation. She ended up serving 11 before being released. And there's no victory here. A young man is gone. A young woman's life is changed forever. And 2 families are shattered in the process. But this case also leaves behind something very real. Questions. When does speech become violence? When do we hold people accountable for emotional manipulation, especially in a digital world where so much is said behind screens? Can two mentally unwell teenagers be equally lost and still criminally responsible? This story forces us to confront how much power our words can actually carry, even if we never say them out loud. And Michelle Carter will forever be known as the girl who told him to unalive himself. But she was also a girl who desperately wanted love, validation, and control over something, anything, in her chaotic life. Does that make her a monster? Does that make her a murderer? Or does it make her human? This has been GBRLIFE of Crimes, part of GBRLIFE Transmissions. I'm Caitlin, reminding you that understanding the darkness helps us appreciate the light. Join me next time as we uncover another case that challenges everything we thought we knew about the criminal mind.